shirts. One of them has George Washington himself on it, and it says it's only treason if you lose. It's like, hell yeah, Britain, suck it. We won, so it's not treasonous. January 6th was treason, right? Like they lost, so like that's treasonous. But damn it, we won the Revolutionary War. We beat them.
Did you know that the George Washington cherry tree story is
fake.
completely fake?
Yeah.
I was watching a great video on like doctored up history that we just take as fact that we're taught as children, and one of them is the George Washington cherry tree. The other, which we've talked about on the show, is that Napoleon wasn't that short. He was 5'7". He's a mid-sized king.
Jacob, 5'7", tall or short?
Don't do this.
Short. For a man, yes.
Don't do this.
You're talking to actual
okay, what
people
does
with
5'8" move up to?
What does 5'8" move up to?
Is that mid-size or is that still short?
I think
Because my husband is 5'8", and I refuse to call him a short king.
Well, listen, you got to do what you got to do to keep your household happy, right? I understand that. I think anything under 5'8" is short. Now, we go 5'9", might be 5. You're going to 5, so anything under 5'10" is short, according to Jacob. That's because he's a behemoth of a man.
Intriguing.
Just be a man, be 6 foot. I agree with you.
My man is a man.
He's
is 5'8".
He is. Jessica's man tried to fight me over the phone yesterday.
Yeah.
It was not good. I was fearful for my life.
He said, you tried me on the wrong day.
Chris Luther in. CJ, you're getting on my damn nerves. Coming this fall to ABC. What was the song?
Up on the Roof by the Drifters. Do you know that song?
If you sang it correctly, I might.
And if the world starts getting you down, there's room enough for two. Up on the roof, up on the roof, up on the roof. Yeah? Anything?
Nothing. You're not singing it right.
Great little 60s. It's like original R&B soul. It's great. Go check out the Drifters. What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday, June 24th. It is going to be a good day. Jessica Benson with you from the Grind City Media Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. CJ Hurt behind the glass. Coming up on today's show, the NBA offseason is off and running. The Celtics making a trade late last night. Jrue Holiday to the Trailblazers. We'll get into that. Tyrese Haliburton had Achilles surgery yesterday. The Thunder victory parade is today, and it is the day before the NBA draft. We'll get into how this could all shape up for the Grizzlies as they hold on to the number 16 pick in tomorrow's draft. Mike Wallace is going to join us. He is on the way to Brooklyn for the draft. We'll connect with him. We'll do some TV Tuesday, NBA on NBC News, Pac-12 media deal. The first one hit yesterday. We'll also get into what we're watching. It's a Tuesday. We're making it through the week. You know what we say.
Gotta say something, dog. We gotta go.
Okay, well, gotta go. Let's go.
Mario again?
Mario.
That seems obvious.
What? Is your child a natural-born entertainer? Now is their chance to join the most talented youth dance crew in the Mid-South, the Blue Bunch. The Blue Bunch entertains Grizz Nation with their energetic dance routines and even have the opportunity to collaborate on performances with leading artists in the entertainment industry. Kids ages 7 to 17 are invited to show off their skills and personality for their chance to join the next generation of NBA entertainers. Open auditions are Saturday, June 28th. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information.
Are you ready? Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With very special guest, Daughtry. And Mammoth. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Creed with Daughtry and Mammoth. The Summer of '99 tour.
You've seen the Grizz line jam Street, and this is your chance to join the best drum line in the NBA. Grizz line entertains Grizz Nation at home games and events in the Mid-South through their impressive techniques and energetic shows. If you have experience in drumming and marching and love entertaining, Grizz line is the perfect opportunity for you to combine percussion and performance. Open auditions are Saturday, August 9th at FedEx Forum. Sign up today by visiting grizzlies.com/auditions.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Tony Allen joining us. I believe Hey!
Young T.A. with a fresh chop. That boy sliced today, boy. You say, that boy got the tape on the side? Okay, T.A.
Hey, and I like how you blurred out your background so we can't see that La Quinta this time.
Can't see the hole in the wall, T.A.
Can't see the hole in the wall.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
You get to the main event, and you hear the crowd. There's some rumblings in the crowd.
Here we go.
They say, "We want truth."
I love how John Cena said when they were chanting, "We want truth." You can't handle the truth.
There you go.
I loved it.
He takes the knee off, boom. Takes the mask off, boom. And it's our freaking truth. God, man, he cost John Cena the match.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Feels great to feel the sunshine. Gotta own the day like it's all mine. Just got paid in his own time. Been working hard, I've been on the grind. I deserve this feeling, having my way. I've been on this healing. This is my day. The sun's out, let's have a little fun now. I wanna let it all out. That's what it's all about. Cause I deserve this feeling, having my way. I deserve this healing. This is my day.
Grind City Media presents The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. Live from the Grind City Media Studios on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Hope your week is off to a wonderful start. We are one day closer to the NBA draft. It's funny, CJ, I was looking for something to watch on TV last night because I always get a little bit in my feelings after the NBA season officially comes to an end. And there were no WNBA games on last night, so I couldn't even just immediately go into more basketball because the WNBA schedule continues to baffle me. How there were no games on a Monday night, but we have 4 games tonight and 3 of them start at the same time. I think we can do a little bit better in the future. I digress. No NBA last night, and then I got into the weeds of my mind where we're like 120 days until our next NBA game. We're like 75 days until our first NFL game. We're 60 days away from our first college football game. And I was like, oh, we are in the bad place of the sports season. I am in kind of curious about baseball place. But then I don't have to care about baseball. We don't have to talk about that guy on the Mariners, who is awesome. And we might talk about him tomorrow. You don't know the hot guy, the big dumper?
Okay, we talked about Big Dumper yesterday.
When did we talk about Big Dumper?
We didn't. Odds Couple.
Odds Couple.
Odds Couple. Grind City Media
Oh, I was
subsidiary.
hoping I was going to introduce the Big Dumper to you.
That ass, boy. I've only seen one
Did you know
ass.
you can get a jersey with the Big Dumper on it?
Oh, I need it. I gotta get it.
Yeah, you do need it.
I gotta get it.
You deserve to have
I'm making
a Big
weird
Dumper.
baseball jerseys, and t-shirts.
His name is Cal Raleigh, for the record. For the people who
Big
don't,
Dumper.
for the people who have not yet dove into the baseball
Dump
waters.
truck.
Cal Raleigh, Mariners catcher, and he hit his 32nd home run last night. But we don't have to think about that today. We can think about that tomorrow, or the next day, or the day after, because the NBA offseason immediately begins. And the NBA offseason never takes a rest. This league never takes a break, because as I am laying my head down and closing my sweet little eyes last night, Chris taps me on the shoulder and goes, I know you're just going to sleep, but the Celtics just traded Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers. And I was like, okay, I'm still going to go to bed, and then I'm going to wake up and figure this out in the morning. But alas, that is true. The Boston Celtics, reportedly, allegedly, because it is not official yet, but by all means, it happened. The Celtics traded Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers in return for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. By God, that is Brad Stevens music in Boston, because the offseason begins and he immediately starts making moves. Thank you for playing the music, CJ.
Yeah, but we knew they were gonna have to move somebody.
This is not the end.
No.
This is not the end.
No.
It is a money move for the Celtics. Like at its core, it is a money move for the Celtics. $40 million in projected tax savings long term, including $5 million in savings for this next season. Jrue Holiday had 3 years, $104.4 million left in his contract, including a player option for the 2027-2028 season. Meanwhile, Simons on an expiring contract, $27.7 million next season. So to briefly summarize, Brad Stevens found a way to save money to get an upside younger player on a more flexible contract with less years, and he improved their draft capital with 2 second-round picks. It is absolutely wild that it was, 12, 13 years ago that Brad Stevens was the coach at Butler and then proceeds to be the coach in Boston for 8 years and then seamlessly transitions into GM mode and is one of the better working general managers in the NBA today. When you look at the deals that Brad Stevens has completed, and it is why the sentiment that starts taking off on social media following this trade is, by God, Brad Stevens does it again, or how does Brad Stevens continue to fleece other teams? And we'll get into if it's an actual fleece situation. But you look at every deal that he has made, which goes back to trading Kemba for Al Horford. He got Derek White for Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, and a first. He traded Marcus Smart for Kristaps Porzingis. He traded Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams for Jrue Holiday the first time, and then turns around and trades Jrue Holiday for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. And he also extended his core in the meantime. Like, he is remarkable. I don't know that I expected, like, this career path for Brad Stevens, but now that it's here, it makes sense, and he continues to play into the strengths. As we said, assumed to be just the beginning for the Celtics because, yes, they save a lot of money in making this individual move. They still need to cut around $20 million to get under the second apron. And so everybody looks at Kristaps Porzingis as the next most plausible trade option, both contract-wise and health-wise. That was the other thing with Jrue Holiday. He was hurt last season. And he's getting older. I think by the time Jason Tatum returns from his Achilles tear, he'll be 36, 37.
I think he's 37 now.
No, I think he's 35.
Okay.
So just depending on how long.
I didn't realize he had been in the league, which makes sense. Like, I should have known that. I should have.
I feel so
But when I
old.
read Jrue Holiday, 17-year vet, I was like, holy hell, hold on now. Jrue Holiday ain't been in the NBA 17 damn years. 17 years.
It was like 8 years ago. I remember at a time, and he is a former Portland Trailblazer, technically because he was there for a cup of coffee as a part of the Damian Lillard trade and then was immediately rerouted to the Boston Celtics by immediately, like a week after. But there was a time where there were rumors of Jrue Holiday going and linking up with Damian Lillard and being the backcourt for the Portland Trailblazers. And I was trying to remember when that was, and it was like 8 to 10 years ago. That was a long, long time ago. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's so odd to watch how the Western Conference is operating in the everybody scratching and clawing and trying to position themselves to best compete in a crowded West. And meanwhile in the East, it's like, well, everybody has an Achilles tear and let's just make this work financially for next season, which was always the plan.
For the Celtics.
For the Celtics.
The
but we're
Celtics-
about to see what the others do.
The Celtics had to come up off of money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to pay anybody but the 4 or 5 players that they had money assigned to, like big money. So we knew that this was coming for the Celtics. We just didn't know who the Celtics were going to move off of. We all assumed, I think everybody assumed, that the Celtics weren't going to move Tatum and weren't going to move Brown. It just felt like those guys being drafted by them.
I feel like they doubtfully would trade Derek White.
I thought that, so of the two, I thought White would be the one that they moved first and then Jrue Holiday.
I thought Jrue, Kristaps, White, Brown, Tatum would be the ordering.
I just don't know what the value is in Kristaps. I don't know why you would want to take on somebody like that if you're an NBA team, somebody who, the past 2 seasons has battled injuries, right? Like, and it's... I'm just not
yes,
sure.
he battled injuries, but then it became the illness.
That was the other part.
That was the big carryover this season. So perhaps you're hopeful that that was a unique situation.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
I think ultimately they would have to, you have to trade Porzingis for a player making less money. It's not like you can just shut him.
Yeah.
you have to trade him for somebody making
But you have to do that
less.
with all of these dudes.
Yes.
You have to trade them for players making less. And then in our minds, if you're trading somebody who's making more than somebody else, that's because the person who's making more is better. So it's going to be hard, in my mind, it's going to be very hard for you if you're the Celtics to be able to get better via trade when you're just trying to shed salary. With the way Simmons shoots the ball, and particularly from three, with the frequency with which he shoots the ball from three, he fits right in it instantly.
Mazzulla's like, just go take 33s.
Become Joe Mazzulla's like go-to guy, right? He's taking, I think I saw he was taking 9 threes per game last year. With the Celtics, my man is going to be taking 15 damn threes per game. And Mazzulla's going to be like, yo, that's not enough. I need you to get up near 18 to 20. So
he's 26. He's a solid playmaker.
They
He's
got a good
three-point
player.
shooter. He's a bad defender. Like, if you ask anybody in Portland who actually watched every game with Anthony Simons, there can be a ceiling for Anthony Simons that certainly is higher. And again, making a transition from aging Jrue Holiday to 26-year-old Anthony Simons in the hope that he could, if they keep him, because that's the other thing, if they keep him, Anthony Simons could be used to further your money-saving activities if you are
Package
the
him
Boston
with
Celtics. Perhaps you package him with Porzingis. Okay. Perhaps you package him.
White.
Maybe you would package him with Derek White for something, depending on just how much money you can save. I think Bobby Marks said the Celtics could ultimately end up saving close to $200 million by the end of this, by the time all the deals are done and running. But yes, Anthony Simons, and Portland moving on from Anthony Simons was really a testament to their belief in Scoot Henderson, and Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson just could not coexist, especially when you look at being one of the worst backcourts defensively in the NBA.
Even with all of that, though,
they were still a top 10 defense the latter portion of the
article
year.
I read, admittedly, full disclosure, not really keeping up with the Portland Trail Blazers, what they got going on. But I forget which one of the articles I read. It pointed out that post-January, this was a top 3 defense from an efficiency standpoint.
I saw post-January, it was the second best defense to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay, well, hey, listen.
I'm giving them even more credit.
I'm not keeping up with the Trailblazers in that sort of a way, but like if they,
You're not?
even with the backcourt issues defensively that Scoot and Simons gives you, they were still pretty good defensively. And for them, I know he's older, but Jrue Holiday can still get out there and get after you on the defensive end. So he comes in there and he adds a bit more defense to your backcourt. And he can be somebody Scoot can look to for a little bit of guidance in his third year in the NBA.
That's what this really feels like, an opportunity to improve defensively, but maybe more importantly, have some mentorship and some guidance. But then you look at the contract that the Blazers take on in Jrue Holiday's contract, and you're like, are you jamming all your cap space for an aging Jrue Holiday? Are you jamming your cap space for the sake of having one of those bridge players?
What is he making? Like 37, 27? Like it's not that.
It's a 3-year contract, 104. So yes.
So 37.
37.
Yeah, so that's not jamming it. What do you think? When do you
Considering
think the window is? The window's not near open right now.
Exactly.
For
And
the Trailblazers. So you got to spend that money
That's what I think
anywhere.
feels so weird right now is that move happens and you're like, oh, the Portland Trailblazers are trying to win.
No.
And then you look and you're like, wait, no, they aren't. And what's the hope? Like, they go from being 3 games out of the play-in tournament this year to winning, I think they won 35 or so games this season. Don't quote me on that. Are they going to win 45 next year? Like, are they suddenly putting themselves in a position to compete?
No, I don't think that's the hope at all. You've got to spend money in the NBA. You have to. Isn't there a minimum you have to spend as a franchise? So you've got to, that money's got to go somewhere. You got to do it. And so going out there and there are worse ways to spend your money than on Jrue Holiday, somebody who plays the same position as your young up-and-coming guard, somebody who you can point to and say, hey, he could show you what it takes to get your body ready, game in, game out, game out, day in, day out. He's somebody who can still, when he's healthy, play pretty good defense as well. And we've seemed to have figured out something defensively So yeah, nobody is expecting the Trailblazers to go out there and be world beaters next year, but they've got to be thinking, okay, what's the best way for us to open this window? The best way for us to do it is to get Scoot ready to go as soon as humanly possible. And then when he's ready, we can move off of the Holiday contract. So the contract is an interesting contract to have right now if you're not contending. But in a season and a half, it won't be that interesting. That contract will become an asset because you can shed it the following year. And so teams will want to take on that type of contract just so they can get off of somebody else and get off of something else. And he becomes a valuable trade asset in 2 seasons. And that's when we think that window might potentially, best case scenario for the Trailblazers, be close to looking like it's going to open. But hell, who the hell knows what's happening in the Western Conference right now? But it's not opening right now for the Trailblazers. It could open in the future, and they'd have that piece there in 2 years to say, hey, guys, we've got this expiring contract. Who wants it, and what can we get for it?
It's intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, again, there is a salary floor in the NBA. I'm not making that up. It is a cap sport, and I'm pretty sure there's a floor that you have to spend.
Yeah, 126.
Right. So, there you go. You got 37 of that with Jrue Holiday.
It went up to 140.
Oh, that's a lot.
Went up to 140.
You got 37 of that with Jrue Holiday. Are the Suns interested in moving off of Bradley Beal for a couple of second-round picks? There you go. Round out the roster if you're the Trailblazers.
It is a very fun defensive team if you're the Trailblazers. I did pay light attention because all of a sudden the Trailblazers were on winning streaks, multiple winning streaks as they were going through the last 41 games of last season, in which they went 23-18 over those last 41. And Chimani Kamara really imposing himself as one of the better defenders in or I guess more underrated defenders in the NBA last season. And you partner him with Jrue Holiday. They still have Denny Advia to see what they might do with him. For now, I know many people would like to get Denny on their team. We don't tamper.
Not at all.
We don't want fines. Donovan Clingan, the hope for him to continue to grow up. What?
There's I'll send this video.
What an odd reaction.
I'm sorry. We're talking in the chat about things happening. Apparently, I forget the exact verbiage used in the chat. But there's a video, Miss Kim sent it to me, and holy hell, just the street goes from a street to just a giant ramp.
Oh, I saw that. Was that in Texas?
I don't know where the hell it was.
Because it's so hot.
Yeah.
It's so hot outside. The streets are splitting. One of my friends in California texted me yesterday and said, hey, I'm just checking in. I had a call with somebody in Birmingham yesterday, and they looked like they were about to die because they were outside on a video call. Are you safe? And I said, that depends on what you call safe. I had to walk 4 dogs yesterday in this heat. I was sweating through every inch of my clothing by the time that I got inside. It's disgusting out. My car read 107 after it had just been sitting in the hot sun for like 20 minutes. I usually park under a thing, like a awning, so it usually protects it a bit, but I had parked straight out in the beating heat, the beating heart of the sunshine, 107. I want to throw up in this car.
The chat is the best. Missouri is in Missouri. Is where this video takes place. And Miss Kim is saying the street buckles.
That's crazy.
The street buckle.
Every day I learn something new to be fearful of.
Yeah, look at that.
And today it is
Look at that. Just driving down the street, booga, and it just buckles as his car is driving.
And you just suddenly join Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh my gosh.
Hot Wheels leading the way.
Oh, what a throwback commercial jingle.
Hot Wheels are back.
Did they ever leave?
They're making the most money. No, but they are one of the biggest profiters for Mattel right now.
Okay.
And they're really leaning in. I listened to a whole podcast about it.
Turn up.
Love some Hot Wheels.
Turn up. We didn't even talk about Mattel and the AI stuff. Maybe we do that tomorrow.
Oh, our weekly AI story. Quick tangent. Being in
We're
Los
already
Angeles,
on a tangent.
This is a tangent on the tangent.
Let's go.
Being in LA for a weekend, I have never felt like living in Memphis. My life here is more dramatically, technologically different than those on the coast. And I'm saying that with LA, and I have friends who live in New York, and both were in LA telling stories. But just the way that they use AI and ChatGPT in their jobs regularly, like their jobs pay for it, so they have the higher level workings of ChatGPT. One of my friend's husbands has an AI assistant. She has a name, I forget what it is, but he asks her to do tasks, and she'll listen to his calls and then create a bullet point rundown of what needs to be remembered from those calls. I took my first Waymo, which is the driverless cars, and people use them pretty regularly at this point. They can't go on freeways, so they're only for back roads or side streets, but you call it like you would call an Uber or a Lyft, and it rolls up and it has a little jingle and it gives like little flashing lights to you, and you get in the car and it tells you to buckle up, and then next thing you know, you're looking and there's nobody sitting in the driver's side and the wheel is moving, and you're like, this is the strangest experience of my life. And it got you there safely. I guess some parents are using it to transport their kids to activities because there's no like risk factor of a driver doing something with your child. Instead, it's just putting them in a robot car and being like, bye-bye. They use robots for delivery services. They're called, oh gosh, I forget. I think they're called Cocos. There's different brands of robots that get used for delivery service, but they're called Cocos. And a quote that I heard with my own ears was, oh my God, they're so cute. They have heart eyes. It blew my mind, CJ.
So
I felt like I was living in another universe.
Nobody in your friend group watched Terminator or iRobot or any of the apocalyptic robot movies?
I mean, they definitely did, but it's just become so ingrained. Oh, the worst. The worst. The Waymo cars, so the driverless cars, they have like their home. So it's hundreds of cars, and they're all Jaguars. That's what the Waymos are. So they're all really nice. But they have this home where they sleep at night and charge, and one man like goes and like brings them back in to the yard and makes sure that they're plugged in and ready to go, and he's in charge of like thousands of cars. It was insane. I'm so happy to be back amongst people and talking.
Apparently the El Porton in Collierville has robots that deliver your food.
That's so weird. I'm not ready. I realized I am not ready to jump into that pool. Although, I did take 2 Waymos. So I willingly got in 2 robot cars. And the first one, I was like, whee! And the second one, I barely even remembered I was in a robot car. I said, oh, how quickly your brain adapts to the strangest things. All right, well, we'll take a quick break here. We'll come back. We will get into what the next big trade could be in the NBA. I cannot remember a time where we had 3 trades of the magnitude of the 3 that we have had between the Bane trade to Orlando, the Kevin Durant trade, and Boston's trade last night before the NBA draft. That's a lot of activity before we even get to the NBA draft. Mike Wallace is going to join us. He is on the road to Brooklyn for the draft. We'll get his thoughts on what he expects the Grizzlies to perhaps do with the 16th pick tomorrow. Plus, Tyrese Haliburton had Achilles surgery. You don't want to miss his statement coming out of that surgery. We'll get into it on the other side.
What can the Memphis Grizzlies learn from the Thunder Pacers NBA Finals series?
Your style of play is not something that you really have to change. Both of these teams love to play fast. Both these teams love to play really aggressively on the defensive side of the ball.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Have you always dreamed of entertaining on the biggest stage in Memphis? The Claw Crew is looking for members to join their team for the 2025-2026 season. Claw Crew members are hardworking, high-energy entertainers who assist Grizzlies home games by hyping up the crowd and much more. Not only do they support the Grizzlies at home games, but also promote in Memphis and across the Mid-South. Open auditions are Saturday, August 9th at FedEx Forum. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions for more information and to register today. The Grizzlies, grannies, and grandpas have the right moves and are currently looking for new members to join their team for the upcoming season. These soulful seniors are a fan favorite group throughout Grizz Nation. You do not have to be a grandparent, but you must be at least 50 years old with personality, rhythm, and passion for performing. If that sounds like you, then we want to see you on Sunday, June 29th. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions for more information.
1, 2, 3.
Ready, go. Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
These are the Jordan 1, the crystals. These are the shoe that retails for $1,000. Oh, extra crystals. So if your crystals fall off, if your crystals fall off, actually these are the black crystals because they have. So the shoe has black crystals on there as well too. So you get an extra package of black crystals.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
There are futures for Aaron Judge possibly hitting 400. Hitting 400 at the All-Star break, plus 600.
Oh, wow.
To have a 400 batting average in the regular season, plus 3,800. To win the Triple Crown is only plus 145.
I don't think he's going to hit 400 for the season.
I don't either. I that would be
ridiculous.
Yes, ridiculous.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Welcome back. We did get it confirmed yesterday that Tyrese Haliburton did tear his Achilles as expected, and he immediately had surgery, which continues this trend of instant surgery for players after they go down with Achilles tears. We saw Jason Tatum immediately go into surgery. Also, Tyrese Haliburton using the same surgeon as Jason Tatum, Dr. Martin O'Malley. Is that the one you use? Oh, I don't think so. Martin O'Malley was busy that day. He was too busy coming off the Achilles savings of Kevin Durant and Breanna Stewart and now Jason Tatum and Tyrese Haliburton. I should get his number in case my other one goes eventually. But Tyrese Haliburton posted from his post-op bed, and he had a lengthy statement that I do think is worth sharing the whole thing because it's pretty good. I really appreciated the authenticity and just the sincerity from Tyrese Haliburton. He's also on drugs. Like, I want to be perfectly clear. He had Achilles surgery. Know from experience. He is on some level of pain medication. But I did think it was a really thoughtful response from Tyrese. So he started, at 25, I've already learned that God never gives us more than we can handle. I know I'll come out on the other side of this a better man and a better player. And honestly, right now, torn Achilles and all, I don't regret it. I'd do it again and again after that to fight for this city and my brothers for the chance to do something special. He had started, man, don't know how to explain it other than shock. Words cannot express the pain of this letdown. The frustration is unfathomable. I've worked my whole life to get to this moment, and this is how it ends. It makes no sense. Now that I've gotten surgery, I wish I could count the number of times people will tell me I'm going to come back stronger. What a cliche, LOL. This shit sucks. My foot feels like dead weight, fam, but what's hurting most, I think, is my mind. Feel like I'm rambling, but I know this is something I'll look back on when I'm through this as something I'm proud I fought through. It feels good to let this shit out with y'all seeing the ugly kid cry. Indy, I'm sorry if any fan base doesn't deserve this, it's y'all, but together we are going to fight like hell to get back to this very spot and get over this hurdle. I don't doubt for a second that y'all have my back, and I hope you guys know that I have yours. I think Kobe said it best when in the same situation. There are far greater issues, challenges in the world than a torn Achilles. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, find the silver lining, and get to work with the same belief, same drive, and same conviction as ever, and that's exactly right. I will do everything in my power to get back right. My journey to where I am today wasn't by happenstance. I pushed myself every day to be great, and I will continue to do just that. The most important part of this all is that I'm grateful. I'm grateful for every single experience that's led me here. I'm grateful for all the love from the hoop world. I don't have to go through this. I get to go through this. I'm grateful for the road that lies ahead. Watch how I come back from this. So give me some time. I'll dust myself off and get right back to being the best version of Tyrese Haliburton. And he ended with Proverbs 3:5-6. I just really appreciated this. It was a bit of a rambling, like I said. You're kind of in a whirlwind mind-wise after something like this happens. But we talk so much about the needing to be cool factor in the NBA. And I thought it was really refreshing to just see this realness and for Tyrese Haliburton to express his feelings that are kind of all over the place and his emotions while also, having the badass line of, and I do it all over again. Like, you want that from your athletes, but I appreciate the dose of everything else that came along with it. Like, if anyone has grown in terms of how a large portion of NBA fans feel about him throughout this playoff run, it's Tyrese Haliburton. And it's through all the moments. Like, ESPN did their top 10 moments of the postseason. Tyrese Haliburton was 2 of the top 3. He was the top 3, I believe, with the choke against the Knicks, the steal and behind the back, like, cool pass in Game 6 against the Thunder, and the game winner in Game 1 against the Thunder. Like, that's pretty remarkable. And I think in the top 10, he might have had 5 of the top 10 plays. And just so in terms of somebody growing in their playing reputation, but also in their off the court and their personal reputation, like, it's been quite the couple months for Tyrese Haliburton.
I don't think a player who lost has done more to improve their perception since, like, Allen Iverson, right? That playoff run Allen Iverson went on when they ended up falling to the Lakers in 5, and he had that monster game 1, and he's injured and he's hobbled. He's clearly not 100%, not nowhere near 100%. I remember being a kid watching that and saying to my friends saying to me, that's what we want to be. Yeah. We want to be AI. That's it. And not because of the killer crossover, not because he was one of the greatest scorers in the NBA at the time and one of the greatest little man scorers the NBA has ever seen, not because of any of that, but because of the heart that went into how he played and how he was willing to sacrifice his body. And Tyrese Haliburton did that as well in the postseason. Of course, he had great moments, right? Allen Iverson had great moments in that playoff run as well. Tyrese Haliburton had incredible moments in every single round of the playoffs, from the first round against the Bucks to the second round against the Cavs to the conference finals against the Knicks to the NBA finals against the Thunder. He had incredible moments every single round of the playoffs, but I don't think that is what we will hold on to as a sports viewing public. What we will hold on to, what we will laud him for, and eventually, as time goes on and this generation of players retires and moves on and the next generation comes in, the thing we will hold over their heads forever is Tyrese Haliburton went out there and played injured. He went out there and did everything he could. It was clear which game was it Game 3 when he tripped and fell and was like, oh, that calf isn't right, or Game 2 that calf is not right. It just isn't. And he played 5 more games after that, and he was doing incredible things out there on the court, leaving it all on the line for a chance to win an NBA Finals. And before that Achilles popped, my man was 3 for 3 from 3, and he was trying to meet the moment. A huge moment, a moment that we've seen break strong players. He was out there like, no, it's not going to break me. I am mentally ready for this. And then his body just gave out on him, which is really, really disappointing for him, for Pacers fans, for basketball fans. But that courage, that heart, that determination, that willingness to fight through pain and discomfort and a true injury, that's something that will be held over players' heads for generations to come in the NBA.
Yeah. And just like the attitude that comes along with it. And I think that's why that post, I saw a lot of people responding to it. Like, why is this injury affecting me, a non-Pacers fan? Because obviously for Pacers fans, you're going to be distraught and you love this guy and you want him to play in Indiana forever and you're going to ride with him through the surgery and hope that he comes back on the other side. He's a wrestling fan. He's got to complete the story. It's easy if you're a Pacers fan to say, God, I really hope that it's Tyrese Haliburton who leads us to a championship someday. But it's a little more obscure for a casual NBA fan to say, God, I am deeply committed to wanting to see Tyrese Haliburton win a championship someday. And I think it's all connected to what you just said. It's not just the moments on the court. It's the fighting through the injury, the rising to the occasion that we put crazy expectations on these athletes when it comes to injuries. And like sometimes I struggle with that, but at the end of the day, you're a competitor and you're gonna play. Like, there was never a question in Tyrese Haliburton's mind that he was gonna play in Game 7, and now that he tore his Achilles, he would go back and do it all over again. And I believe him. You know, ask him in like 2 weeks how he feels. But then when he comes out on the other side and tricks his brain into the pride that comes with getting through the Achilles tear instead of the sheer like devastation in the middle of that early rehab. But I do think he would do it again.
You know, fans who are ladies, like sports fans who are ladies. Do y'all ever have which body part would you give up for a championship? Do y'all ever have that conversation?
No.
Because that's a conversation I know I have with my friend group all the time, and I've had since I was in like the 7th or 8th grade. Like, hey, what would you give up for a chance to win a championship? And it's like,
what's your answer?
Oh gosh, for a chance to win a championship?
Yeah.
Just the chance, just to get to the championship game. Immediately after the game, the body part got to go
Forever.
There's not a body part on my body, and that's not just for like a professionals championship. If I could have won state in high school, I'd give it my left foot. I'd absolutely come up off a foot or an arm or a part of my leg down from the knee down or whatever. I would absolutely do that. And Tyrese Haliburton went out there. It's easy for me to say, having no talent, no skill whatsoever, right? Like, yeah, I'd give up my right arm to win a college championship, right? It's easy for me to say, having no chance at that ever happening. Tyrese Haliburton went out there and lost an Achilles for the chance to win an NBA Finals, right? Like that's different. That's different. Being courageous enough to go out there and brave enough to go out there and do that. That means something. That matters. For a chance to win a WNBA, we'll start with Commissioner's Cup. What body part? Nothing. You're not giving up anything? No. Jessica, I'll give up 9 of my toes for the NBA. 9 of my toes for the NBA, whatever the cup is in the NBA.
Balance of your foot?
I'll be a champion. I'll have the what's the NBA one called? Not the Commissioner's Cup, the weird one.
No,
not the no,
Jacob, not the Larry O'Brien.
Not the actual one. The regular season joint.
It's just the WNBA Finals Championship trophy.
No, the NBA one, the regular season joint.
The Emirates Cup.
For a chance to hoist the Emirates Cup.
You're giving up a toe.
I'd give up 9 of them. What do I need toes for? I wear tennis shoes anyways. After that, I'm not running around or anything.
Have you ever had issues with your toes?
No.
I'm just telling you.
And after giving up 9 of them,
issue.
I won't have issues with my toes anymore.
I'd be willing to cut off my pinky toe right now. It's really bugging me.
Bunion? Corn?
No, I have a deformity I found out at the podiatrist. That's right, me, deformed. My toe, the knuckle on my little toe is positioned in a way that it's always going to ram into the 4th toe. I told you. Wow, this is like way TMI. But yes, I had a corn. And so I went to go get the corn removed finally, and I was like, this is great. I can finally get my toe OnlyFans account going once I get this all figured out. And I sit down and he goes, well, the good news is it's not a corn. And he goes, and we can kind of treat it right now. He says, but the bad news is if you want to never deal with this again, you're going to need toe surgery.
Let's get it.
I said, I am not having toe surgery.
Why
and he
not?
said, yeah,
Are you going to sleep?
You do go to sleep.
Okay.
You have to wear sandals for 3 to 5 weeks.
Let's go.
So you have to do it in the summer.
Have them little piggies
out.
You
can't ever have tennis shoes on. So I guess just cut it off, and then I'll go win a championship. I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
You'll win the Commissioner's Cup. What are you giving up for a WNBA Finals championship?
They don't even have a name for the trophy yet.
For the WNBA Finals joint?
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
No, I don't. Trophy names are whatever. Like I'm not big into those.
You know there are people out there who are like, it should already be called the Caitlin Clark Trophy.
Absolutely, it should.
She's never won one.
Why shouldn't
but
it be?
But it should absolutely be called the Caitlin Clark Trophy. What are we doing here?
Let's go. Okay, so what are you going to do?
I don't think I'm giving up anything on my body for a championship.
You're not giving up anything for a championship?
How much money am I getting? See, I need to think about how this factors into my life.
For a Super Bowl? For a Super Bowl? Take everything.
Am I an integral part or am I the kicker?
Does it matter? It's the Super Bowl.
If I'm not getting money attached to this as well,
you
then
need
yes.
money for the glory?
Money.
I see you.
Mr. CJ Hart, who says he would leave me for $1 extra.
I will.
$1 extra you give CJ, and he is gone.
One
he
Abraham
is out
Lincoln.
Of that booth. You don't want money attached to your championship run that you're that you are donating a body part for?
The glory is what I'm after. That's what matters. Your appendix, your tonsils.
Part. I'd give my tonsils.
You give your tonsils.
I'd give my third eyelid.
For your what now?
My third eyelid, a small fold of skin at the inner corner of the eye that is present in some animals and has little function in humans. You can take my third eyelid for a championship.
For a Super Bowl. That's why you've never won a Super Bowl, Jessica. That's why you'll never win a Super Bowl. The attitude there.
Wow, breaking news.
That attitude right there is why you'll never win a Super Bowl.
Breaking news.
Get out of here.
I never got into the when it was deals with the devil. What are you willing to give up? Ariel gives up her voice to go become a human. At what cost?
Yeah, that's stupid.
That's so dumb. Ariel giving up her voice to go be a human is the same thing as somebody giving up a body part to go win a championship.
There's no glory.
Being a human was her. She thought it was glory.
There's no glory in being a person. There is glory in winning a Super Bowl.
You don't know
There
that.
is glory there.
You don't know that.
I
watched
do.
an excellent episode of television last night, The Studio on Apple TV starring Seth Rogen. I've recommended it on this show before. It was a Golden Globes episode. Cameos off the charts. Quinta Brunson shows up. Gene Smart shows up. Adam Scott shows up. Anyway, great episode of TV. Zoe Kravitz is a big part in it. But like the whole message of the episode is you can be at the top of your profession. You can be like the grand salami of it all. And you could be a part of something that wins a championship or a massive award, and you can still end up crying in the back of a limo at the end of the night. Like, you are not guaranteed happiness because you went and won this thing. It can be so fleeting, too. If you never get one again, then the unfulfillment of feeling as if you had the greatest moment of your life and you're never going to experience that kind of joy. And now, in your world, you're without an arm. You're without a toe.
For a Super Bowl?
I mean, I'll give my appendix. It can go anytime. I'll give my wisdom teeth.
For
They're
a Super
already
Bowl?
gone.
I'd walk around like this for a Super Bowl.
That's insane.
I'd be this way with a Super
I feel
for a
like
Super
this
Bowl.
is a men problem.
Get out of here.
This is what men are too emotional to be leaders. They're willing to give up too much.
In a daggum, in the back of a limo crying, tears of joy. I won't have any place. I'd have to get a toe ring for my Super Bowl ring because I'd be walking around like this for the rest of my life. But damn it, I'd have
Toe
a damn
rings
Super
are
Bowl.
back.
Are they?
Toe rings and permanent anklets.
Permanent.
Permanent jewelry is a big thing right now.
I've seen permanent anklets.
bracelets, necklaces,
No, we're not
anklets.
doing permanent. I'm
If
taking
you
those
put
off.
something on my toe, it's permanent. It's never coming off.
No, because it's deformed. Jessica deformed toe Benson over here. Exactly. All right, for a Tony, what are you giving up?
I'm not giving up anything.
You're not giving up anything to win a Tony.
No.
You're not giving up anything at all.
I mean, I'm giving it the sacrifice for any of these things. Like, I would love to win an Emmy, even though I learned that you mostly pay for Emmys in this world.
Yeah, so?
I'd pay for the Emmy. I'd give up a couple dollars to put myself in Emmy contention, which is what you have to do.
You wouldn't give up, like...
No, because what does that give me?
The Emmy! That's what it gives you!
For what? Like, what
the glory of having an Emmy.
Yeah.
You would be, when people Wikipedia or
have
Google...
the glory of having great family and friends and a loving life full of daily happiness instead
Check this
of
out.
one moment.
No disrespect. All respect.
I feel like you're about to say something incredibly disrespectful.
Family not that damn wonderful.
But it can be.
Okay. All right.
That can be.
Okay.
I'm not
giving up.
friends
I'm not
can
giving
be
up.
family.
I'm not giving up much for an Emmy or a Grammy or a Tony.
Exactly.
I'm not. Super Bowl.
Okay, wait.
Super Bowl.
Wait. How about an EGOT? Like guaranteed,
guaranteed
to be one
EGOT.
of the EGOT winners. That's a different story because then that's like, I don't want to glitch on that. That's rare air. As I said, yes, I've now used rare air like 4 times in 2 days. I'm aware of the rare air. But
a left eye.
A left eye.
A left eye. I come up out of a left eye.
You could probably increase your odds of winning an EGOT if you took the left eye and then you were taking roles that were related to the struggle and you were in
the left eye.
But then that feels really dirty because
I
now
don't
you're
care.
like making yourself disabled to
it's
better
an
your
EGOT,
odds
Jessica.
at winning an EGOT.
And it's a legit EGOT.
Yeah, I want a legit
Like a legit EGOT. Oh yeah. Left eye.
You're not a producer.
Left eye. Now, if I have to give
That
up
was
more
the
than
other
that,
part of that episode is like these heads of studios in movies and TV, they don't get any their name isn't on it because the studio's name is on it. So if you're like president of Universal and your project wins, there's never any like written word that was your project. It's your studio's project. And unless the actor thanks you in their speech directly, nobody's gonna know. They always thank the producer, they always thank the director, they always thank their cast. They don't credit the person who had to lay down the bucks to make the business decisions.
oh yeah, that person shouldn't be credited, should they?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But it is a funny thought that but then some of them, I guess, write into the contracts that the actors have to thank them in their
I
speeches.
didn't know that.
I don't know if it's just a joke on the show, but it was one of those things that hits and you're like, oh, that's probably real. Like, I bet there are studio executives who make it a thing where they have to be thanked.
Left eye, and if that's not enough, I'll give 1 row of teeth for the EGOT.
Are you allowed to replace the teeth?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've already done that.
Okay. So you can give those up to when you got, and then just go get them replaced.
I'd love to have the back ones match the front ones, so I'll just give up those.
Okay.
Easy. I'll give it 8 teeth.
There you go.
Sweet.
But nothing for the Super Bowl, which
Wow, what
again
a
is why you'll never win a
bizarre
Super Bowl.
Conversation.
Welcome to the summer.
Hey, breaking news. Well, breaking news, and I'll tell you on the other side.
That's what we call a tease.
That's a professional
She's
tease.
a tease.
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
I'm not.
That feels a little
I mean, it's not your month anymore.
HR moment. All right, I'll tell you what the breaking news is. Mike Wallace still ahead from Brooklyn on the NBA draft coming up.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
1, 2, 3. Ready, go.
Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Memphis. FedEx Forum, Saturday, August 30th. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit shinedown.com.
Tony Allen joining us. I believe Hey!
Young TA, what a fresh chop. That boy sliced today, boy. You say, that boy got the tape on the side. Okay, TA.
Hey, and I like how you blurred out your background so we can't see that La Quinta this time.
Can't see the hole in the wall, TA.
Can't see the hole in the wall.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
The Tigers are going to play in November in the Bahamas, the Baha Mar tournament, and the other teams expected to be there. Purdue, Wake Forest, and possibly Texas Tech. So Texas Tech's going to be good. Purdue's going to be good. If you don't have a roster that puts you in that same conversation, that could be a tough trip to the Bahamas.
Yep.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What can the Memphis Grizzlies learn from the Thunder Pacers NBA Finals Series?
Your style of play is not something that you really have to change. Both of these teams love to play fast. Both these teams love to play really aggressively on the defensive side of the ball.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back. Mike Wallace is going to join us in the next segment, and we will talk with him about Grizzlies draft plans for tomorrow. NBA draft tomorrow night. In case you forgot, we will have the Grind City Media draft show starting at 7 o'clock, and we will run the entirety of the first round of the NBA draft, of which the Grizzlies have the 16th pick after the Desmond Bane the Desmond Bane trade to the Orlando Magic, and it appears, as of now, and trades can still happen, but for now, the Grizzlies have the 16th pick in the draft. I really didn't expect. That's not true. That's not fair. I was hopeful that the Grizzlies would not be picking in the first round of tomorrow's draft, just because I am of the core belief that this team needs to get older and not younger, but I do not know if this front office can or would pass on an opportunity to draft at 16. This front office has a affinity towards drafting, has had great success in drafting and finding guys that they fall in love with along the way. So I look forward to chatting with Mike and seeing if he gets the same vibe and who some of the players are that he would like to see the Grizzlies target. What's your best case scenario for tomorrow in the draft? And we'll do full draft talk tomorrow, yes.
Best case scenario, they move a couple of picks and they get somebody in here who can help them win right now. Anything short of that for me, I'll be disappointed and curious about what's going on. Now, we can talk all we want to in the offseason, and everybody's doing it, about trades that this team should make or that team should make and why these two teams will be good trade partners. But the fact of the matter is those teams have to feel that way. And it takes two to make a trade work in any sport league. So maybe they're shopping it around. Maybe they aren't. I'm not really sure. But if they're shopping it around, somebody's got to find value in that pick, or with that pick being added to some sort of a trade package. I don't think you can sit here and let me rephrase that. I won't be convinced if somebody comes in and tells me, hey, you know what? This player is another year older, right? Like that's not going to work for me. So Gigi's another year older. Vince is another year older. That's not going to work.
Well, because you have the two players who you're committed to who will be another year older, and one of them is Zach Edey, who will be hampered to start the season at best, likely. Will miss the beginning of the season, and how long that absence is to be determined. And then Jalen Wells. So those are your two young players that you're excited to have advanced another year, and who you have envisioned to be an important part of the future core for the Grizzlies. I'm with you. Would love to see that pick packaged for a player, or from a business side, and I know it is not the sexy option, but could that pick be packaged where you are moving down in the draft and perhaps saving money to go towards Jaren Jackson Jr.'s extension? Because that is still something that has to be worked out as well, and making the money work and putting together a deal that makes sense for Jaren Jackson Jr. to say, yep, I want to sign this right now. I want to commit to the Grizzlies, as opposed to betting on himself going through next season and then ultimately getting to it after next year. So all of those things could be a thing. I get it. Like, I think the draft is so fun, and falling in love with players is a very fun piece of the draft. And hell, like, I fell in love with Nick Clifford as I watched him destroy the Memphis Tigers in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and then turning around in the game that Colorado State played against Maryland. Like, that was a performance where I remember looking at him and saying, I'm really curious to see where he ends up falling on draft night. And I know he is in that mix of players who could be available at 16. But just because I fall in love with players, that's where I get stopped, and my brain doesn't allow me to like really tantalize the idea of it, because that's not what I want for this team. That's not how I envision the greatest offseason growth occurring, is in another hit in a draft where you're like, yes, the ceiling for this player, and I don't care if they're a 4-year player or on the older side and perceived as ready now. Ready now for a rookie means something different than what the Grizzlies need a player to be ready now to compete in this Western Conference next year.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if you're selling hope, well, then you sell hope. And I don't feel like the franchise is selling hope. And I think rightfully so. And it's something to be said about stepping into a moment and embracing the moment, embracing the challenge, where the feel and the vibe from people when they get out in front of cameras and start talking, people in charge, when they get out in front of cameras and start talking, is, hey, we don't We don't simply want to get to the postseason. We don't simply want to make it to a play-in, or we don't simply want to make it to a playoff. We expect to get to the playoffs and make some noise. We expect to get to the playoffs and advance in the playoffs. That's the expectation. And if that's the expectation that you have, I question how you can do that next year if you bring in another young piece who's going to have to contribute immediately and significantly to your roster, right? Like that's where I question it. So if they need to pivot and be more hopeful, well, that's what the draft is for.
Right.
The draft, everybody gets excited. The people who get excited about the draft are like, oh, the upside potential of this. So maybe not now, but in a couple of years, who knows, right?
Great hopium.
But you are now with this team. Ja Morant is here now. Jaren Jackson Jr. is here now. And that's who you're building this thing around. And people think that those two are top 30, top 40, top 50, certainly type players. One being Ja Morant, who was an all-NBA type performer a couple of years ago. Jaren Jackson Jr. seems to be on his way to being perennial all-defensive selection and in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. So you've got two really, really good pieces. Now it is, okay, what can you put around them to make this team a legitimate contender? Not a contender to make it to the playoffs, but a contender in the playoffs. Rookies have their place on good teams, right? Christian Brown on that Denver Nuggets team immediately comes to mind. Whereas, he's a rookie, he's playing spot minutes, and when he gets in, he's really, really good. I think OG Anunoby, when he was with the Raptors, I don't think he was a rookie when they had that championship run, but he was a young player. He played significant minutes, but the production, he wasn't called upon to be the sole producer or a major producer on that team in a way that when he went out, it was, oh no, what are they going to do? Right? Your producers on that team were, when they got him, Kawhi and Mark and Norman Powell, and you throw in Kyle Lowry, it's Pascal Siakam, and then OG was there like, oh, that's a fun young piece. So if you've got that coming in, like a fun young piece coming in to a team that's already pretty damn good, great. But if you've got that fun young piece and it's like, hey, fun young piece, you got to be more than fun and young. You've got to be really, really productive. We need you to produce at a veteran type level. That's a tough ask for anybody coming into this league.
Look what we did with Jalen Wells last year. A second-round pick who more than produced, outkicked his production expectation.
As
Nobody
a second-round pick rookie.
Second-round rookie to start for the Memphis Grizzlies for the majority of last season, and gives you enough that you are confident in him being a piece of this thing going forward. But at the end of the day, there was a stop. There was a big wall that crashed down for the Grizzlies when competition turned up, and as you're going through the season, and ultimately you get to a first-round matchup with the Thunder, and you get swept. And Jalen Wells is hurt by that.
But even before that happened, it was clear that there was a limit on what he was going to be able to do defensively.
There was a limit on
from
what the
this
team
year.
could do relying on two rookies.
Yes. So
and he's included in that.
Let's just talk about, you brought him up, that's the rookie we're talking about. Phenomenal rookie season. You take everything into consideration, second round pick, tremendous as a rookie. But you can't have that qualifier in there as a rookie. Right. Jalen Wells was getting bullied by bigger perimeter players out there trying to defend. Jalen Wells also, his three-point shot began to dip some as we got later into the season as well. That rookie wall is a real wall that you hit, and you've got to kind of figure that out mentally, and that takes time. If the team is ready to go now, if you're saying, hey, Jaren is ready, Ja is ready to go now, you can't bring somebody in who's going to be hitting that type of wall in year one.
It's where people look at that Cedric Coward, the guy out of Washington State, as someone who has a very good, feels like a solid floor, high ceiling for being a 3-and-D successful player in the NBA. Okay, great. But you need it next year. You want your 3-and-D wing to be the most improved, in my opinion, the most improved position coming out of this offseason. And I know you bring in KCP, but where he is at coming off of last year in Orlando, I think there's still much to be desired in that position group. And if you're relying on finding him with the 16th pick in the draft, then all that does is reset expectations for next year, right? You can look at it and then say, okay, you want to be good next year, but you're waiting to be great in later years. I think tomorrow will give a decent glimpse, and then you have to get through free agency as well, but what that starting expectation level should be for the Grizzlies next season. We'll continue this conversation with Mike. Before we get to him, have we heard from him? Is he in a position?
I don't know.
Not yet?
Jacob, what you say, Jacob?
He's on. Okay, great. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Mike Wallace is going to join us on the other side. He is in Brooklyn for tomorrow's draft. We'll get Mike's takes after a quick break.
Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 tour returns. July 27th, FedEx Forum. With very special guest, Daughtry. And Mammoth. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Creed with Daughtry and Mammoth. The Summer of '99 tour.
The First Ladies of FedEx Forum, the Grizz Girls, are known across the NBA for setting the standard for professional dance and entertainment, and they are looking for dancers to join their team for the 2025-2026 season. With the chance to gain professional dance experience and connect with the Memphis community, auditioning for the Grizz Girls is an opportunity you do not want to miss. Come show up at Open Call Auditions Saturday, July 26th at the Memphis Sports and Events Center. Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Catch us if you can at Southland Casino Hotel and win your share of up to $1.8 million in free play and prizes. Join us for drawings every Saturday in May, June, and July. Each month, over 900 winners will take home free play or drive off in a new car or motorcycle. Be there for all 6 grand finale drawings and try to catch us if you can, only at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 up. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
We get to the main event. And you hear the crowd. There's some rumblings in the crowd.
Here we go.
They say, "We want truth."
I love how John Cena said when they were chanting, "We want truth." You can't handle the truth.
There you go.
I loved it.
He takes the knee off, boom. Takes the mask off, boom. And it's our freaking truth. God, man, he cost John Cena the match.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
There are futures for Aaron Judge possibly hitting 400. Hitting 400 at the All-Star break, plus 600.
Oh, wow.
To have a 400 batting average in the regular season, plus 3,800. To win the Triple Crown is only plus 145.
I don't think he's going to hit 400 for the season.
I don't either. I that would be
ridiculous.
Yes, ridiculous.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Welcome back. Tomorrow night, Grind City Media's draft show will be live starting at 7 o'clock, and Mike Wallace will be on the ground in Brooklyn for all of the draft festivities. He'll join us tomorrow. He joins us now from the airport. Mike, which airport are you at?
LGA, LaGuardia. So I just landed at LaGuardia from flying in from Memphis, was on that direct 6 o'clock in the morning, man. It's nothing like that 6 a.m. flight where you got to get up at 4 and get to the airport by 5, man. So we're here, we're ready for it, and today is the media tour for all of the Green Room invitees, so the top 20-25 players that, picking where the Grizzlies will be picking at in that range. More than likely, that guy will be in the room today and then obviously at the draft tomorrow. Although I will say, Zach Edey was in the same situation and elected not to come to the draft last year. So hopefully we'll get our hands and our eyes on the guys that will be picked at number 16 tomorrow.
Well, let's start there because as of today, the Grizzlies do have that number 16 pick, and you just never know what will occur on draft night, but the energy at this point seems to lead towards the Grizzlies being interested in being able to use that 16th pick to hopefully find a piece that adds into their equation of upgrading this offseason. Who are the names that you are most focused on going into tomorrow's draft that you think could be of most help for the Grizzlies?
Well, those names, have kind of, been within that 5, whoever's available or projected to be available anywhere from 12 to 20. And there's some names in there. It just depends on how the Grizzlies want to address some of those needs. So when you look at where they are right now, to me, their most pressing need is for a big. It's for another big, a guy that can rebound, set screens, block shots, and be a presence. Not just because Zach Edey's going to miss the beginning of the season, but because they needed that anyway in terms of depth. So if they go in that direction, I mean, there are a couple of names that could be there from that situation. The Frenchman Maxime Reynal is a guy that jumps up, the Stanford center who can shoot, who can block shots, who shoots threes really well. Offensive guy gets downhill. He's one of the names that is floated in that range. If you want to get a wing, and the Grizzlies have always talked about, trying to add wings and shooters with some length and some size that could be defensive presence on both ends of the floor, defensive presence and also an offensive presence. So you got a couple of guys in there as well. Nate Clifford, Colorado State, is a veteran, older kind of guy. They're not paging for me, but he's an older guy from Colorado State who can do a little bit of everything. It's Chris Army knife kind of guy from there. And then if you want to go in the backcourt with some shooters, those are some options there too. So those are some names that have come up, and we'll see where they land. And whoever drops, there's always a guy that's going to drop from the top 10 into the mid-teens. And there's always, you got to take the best available in that situation.
I certainly understand the need for another big, and particularly with the status of Zach Edey going into next season. So that case can absolutely be made. I think what gets tricky is you can make a case for multiple positions. And if you want to look at getting a 3-and-D wing, because you did lose a significant amount of three-point shooting with Desmond Bane getting traded to the Orlando Magic. And I know the hope is that KCP reverts to a better shooter than what he was last year for the Magic, and his numbers improved on the latter portion of that season, but still it was a bit of a disappointing fallout. Obviously, you get a really solid defensive player in KCP. However, what that means from productivity at the three-point line in a league that gets more and more three-point heavy feels like something that is an important thing to address. So that's where I'm curious, Mike, for you. Obviously, everybody still, this time of year, gets focused on what trades can be made. So if there were to be a trade that were to make sense that could involve this number 16 pick, what are some of the factors around that you think could ultimately move the needle for this Grizzlies front office if they were to go off of that pick and look for something else?
Well, I think some of these things have to be, multi-team trades. You got to see if you can get in and maybe be the third or fourth team that gets into the mix for a major trade. What we've seen so far is 2 major trades happen that only involve 2 teams, right? Like Desmond Bane going to Orlando was a 1-to-1 deal in terms of the Orlando Magic and the Memphis Grizzlies. Kevin Durant going to Houston was a 1-to-1 transaction, Phoenix and Houston from that standpoint. Usually when guys of that magnitude or names of that magnitude are getting traded, even the one that came out this morning or last night, between Boston and Portland with Jrue Holiday going to Portland, that's a 1-to-1 deal. Usually those kind of deals involve 2 or 3 teams sometimes, 3 or 4 teams sometimes, and that hasn't happened. So the Grizzlies will have to identify a team that sees a player that they really want, a younger, team that really wants to build through the lottery, and then they're willing to come up off of a piece that you really need. So that's why I've always been a proponent of the NBA adopting the NFL style. Go free agency first and then do the draft. Open free agency first, and then you can allow your teams to address those more pressing needs with their salary space, their salary caps, and those kind of things, and then make the draft secondary after that, because who's pretty much on the board in the draft at that point. But free agency is such a fluid situation. I think if it was the other way around, like the NFL does it, it would be more advantageous to a team like the Grizzlies. I will say this, I was on a conference call yesterday with Bobby Marks from ESPN and Jonathan Givony. And, those guys said the Grizzlies are in a precarious position because they can literally go either way. They can go to a complete retool and rebuild, and stockpile these young assets and these draft picks that they have and go in that direction, or they can pivot out of it really quickly and say, you know what, let's take advantage of this trade opportunity, use these assets, and then get a veteran. I think they're going to do more of the latter, and they're going to be opportunistic in this draft tonight, tomorrow. Zach Kleiman always makes trades, man. He hasn't let a draft go by without making some kind of draft day deal. I think that trend continues tomorrow.
Well, and the other piece of all this with the NBA offseason starting is Jaren Jackson Jr. is eligible to sign his extension. So that's another key piece of business and how things can play into that. Do you get any sense of urgency on the Jaren contract, or when's a likely timeline that could either happen, or we find out perhaps it's something that gets punted into next season?
I don't think there's really any urgency to it. You know, I do think there's some maneuverability that has to happen. You know, what happens with trades? How much of your space are you going to be able to eat up right now, or have to eat up right now to make some moves to get guys in or out? That has to happen through free agency first. So the timeline isn't that Jaren has to agree to something right now. The window is open. It's officially open right now for teams to negotiate with their current free agents or potential free agents. But there's no rush to get to that, because I don't think the Grizzlies absolutely know what that number is that they're going to renegotiate off of right now, because some other things have to settle. Where you know, what they do in the draft. Where if you go from 16 to 19, that first year salary diminishes a little bit more.
Right.
If you trade up from 16 to maybe 12, you're eating up a little bit more of your next year's salary cap space. So then when you add in free agency, what is Santi's number going to come in at? You know, what are you going to do? Obviously, most people think Luke Kennard is going to, obviously move on. But what are you going to do with some of the other things that you have to get done before you can lock in with Jaren? I think they have the scope of what that deal would look like, but I certainly don't think that's anything that Jaren has to feel rushed into, and I don't think he will rush into.
Happy 29th birthday to Luke Kennard. Saw that was today. So since you mentioned him, we'll give him a birthday shout out. When it comes to, as you mentioned, the trade that goes down between Boston and Portland last night, what struck me was the difference in just intent from an Eastern Conference team that won a championship 2 years ago versus just the West in its totality, and obviously the big trade happening between the Houston Rockets and the Phoenix Suns, and Kevin Durant, after long speculation, is a member of the Houston Rockets. And it feels as if in the West it is just scrapping and trying to do anything that elevates you into a better place of contention than the other upper crust teams in the West. Meanwhile, in the East for next year, it is very much like a season of Achilles, for lack of a better word, between Tatum and now Haliburton, and you have Damian Lillard, and how that could potentially impact what the Bucks and the Pacers do. And we knew that the Celtics had to move off of a significant amount of salary to not be in that second apron, so that's not really a surprise, but it also feels like just another testament of how difficult the West continues to be, and how in the East you have a team like the Orlando Magic that now looks to be in pretty healthy position with the addition of Desmond Bane to make a real run at this thing.
You do. And, we were talking about this the other day. I mean, when someone said that Orlando could win the East or be a top 3 team in the East, at first it struck me like, really? I didn't agree with that. But then when you factor in the injuries and the reset that some of these teams have to hit, you certainly are, by attrition, Orlando is going to come up as long as they stay relatively healthy. But I think the East, is going to take a different spin. I mean, New York is still there. I think Detroit is going to continue to be good. Philadelphia is ready for a bounce back season after pretty much tanking last season to get themselves healthy. It's going to be an interesting dynamic in the East because, Cleveland obviously is going to be right back there as well too. So once you get past that, then it's anybody's game from there. So, Orlando certainly has a shot. But then when you look at the West, it's funny how the Jrue Holiday trade worked because he got traded there before as a precursor to go to Boston. Now Boston sends him back, and you wonder, Portland is in a different situation now. They're actually trying to be a playoff team. They're actually trying to take that next step up and maybe get into that play-in discussion and try to do something. So do they keep him as a veteran to try to grow that team up a little bit more? Or do they, segue him to somewhere else? And if he's available again, then you really got to look at a couple of teams in the West that he can absolutely take over the top, including the Memphis Grizzlies. I would love to see potentially, if that can happen, a Jrue Holiday come and play here. But having said all of those things, a lot of teams are maneuvering. The West is going to be stacked 1 to 10. Who can you count out of the West?
Right.
There's probably only 2 teams that you absolutely count out right now next season. And that's Utah, because historically they haven't really done anything these last few years. And then New Orleans, which is going through an absolute reset. But you eliminate those 2. The next 13 teams, anyone can be anywhere in terms of that pecking order behind Oklahoma City.
I throw the Suns in there too.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and put them in that group, Mike.
I won't, just because Devin Booker, man, unless they trade him, but I can see why they would be that next team from that standpoint, but they still can be dangerous, man. I think, as long as Bradley Beal's on that roster, if they get rid of him one way or another, they just have to eat the contract, buy him out, stretch him or whatever, they can figure out a way to try to get at least that cloud from hanging over their heads.
Right.
Because Devin Booker doesn't deserve that. Like, he absolutely doesn't deserve to go through what he's going through with that franchise. It's just unfortunate that such a class guy, a guy that's been loyal to that area, that team, and that franchise, continues to be, subject to what they're doing. Just making these desperate attempts to get back into the mix.
In that realm, the trade of Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets, and they move off of Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, and they'll now be with the Phoenix Suns. But as it pertains to the fit of KD, what do you make of the ceiling riser that Kevin Durant can act on with this Houston Rockets team coming off a 2 seed and an appearance in the Western Conference playoffs, and obviously hopes to be able to capitalize on being one of these young, higher tiered teams in the West, and putting him with Şengün and Amen Thompson and some of the young, exciting pieces that we saw grow early here in Houston, and of equal importance, having a head coach in Ime Udoka. Where does Kevin Durant take that team, in your opinion?
And you still were able to hang, I think that there's more intrigue now to bring Steven Adams back, and you kind of strike up the band, because remember,
Right.
Steven Adams with Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City, when they first kind of had their little run when they got good there. So Steven Adams is a free agent right now, but there's more incentive for him to come back and fortify that front line. Van Fleet has already won a championship. You have Eason, you got guys, Jabari Smith Jr., those guys are young. And you still haven't, really figured out, what you want to do with Reed Shepherd yet. And he was the number 3 overall pick last year. So they still have enough there to be really, really dynamic, really, really good. And they're going to be mentally tough. That is going to be, obviously they're projected to be the second team behind Oklahoma City. And I think it's a legitimate thing. Now, having said that, recent history would tell you that as great of a player and as legendary of a player as Kevin Durant is, he hasn't moved the needle for many teams over the last couple of times. It didn't work out in Brooklyn. It didn't work out in Phoenix. And if it doesn't work out in Houston, then you really got to start looking at him as being the guy that doesn't help these teams reach their potential. But if you can get the Kevin Durant you got last year on this Houston team, he's far more efficient than Jalen Green, who I really absolutely love. I think that he's the kind of piece that, again, that's a star in the making. He just barely missed being at that all-star level, and I think he's only 23 and on the rise. We've seen what Dylan Brooks can do from that standpoint as being a defensive guy who can fortify your front line defensively. So, but I do think Houston is going to be legitimate. I think they have the assurances and the insurance around him that he didn't get in Phoenix to be a legitimate title contender. And, again, it's going to be exciting to see how this plays out in the West.
Steven signed his extension this week, and team-friendly, 3-year, $39 million. I'm curious, Mike, and I know it sounds bizarre because anytime you're adding Kevin Durant to a team, it's Kevin Durant, number 1 option. He is one of the greatest scorers that we have ever seen in the NBA, greatest scorer currently. And even though he is 37 years old, you have not seen those production numbers and especially the efficiency numbers drop off. But I remember conversations happening early last year of could the Rockets function in a system of Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün, and there was kind of this necessity of having to commit to one of those guys to be your number 1 option to run that team through. And perhaps we will get into a place where, as Kevin Durant continues to age, and I know the Rockets were one of his preferred destination, and so perhaps he's more likely to sign an extension of his own at some point. But if you look at a kind of changing of the guards where he is not the number 1 option for the Houston Rockets eventually, and they do make that Şengün's team, then what you're getting at this point in KD's career, that's what entices me more than anything. It's kind of the long-term factor of what KD can be.
And here's the thing too, Jess. Like what we've known and what I've discovered about this league is that, players are willing to acquiesce and take a step back for certain guys. Now, Şengün and Jalen Green felt like they were on the same trajectory. They felt like they were the same, hey, why should it be his team if it's, I'm just, they had a competitive maturity level where they weren't able to step back and see the bigger picture. It was his turn or my turn. Whereas Kevin Durant, he walks in the locker room and everyone says, even Anthony Edwards would have said this had he gone to Minnesota. Hey guy, it's, it may be my team, but it's your time. It's your turn. I saw this play out in Miami firsthand every single day. When LeBron James showed up, Dwayne Wade had already won a championship, had already done all of these magical things with the Miami Heat. He said, all right, big dog, let me step back. It's you. Like, we're going to run through you. I'm still going to get mine. This is still my town. I'm still the guy that's going to be on the marquee a lot. But in terms of basketball strategy, we have to run this through you. Kevin Durant will make jobs easier for Şengün because he's going to draw the double team. Or if Şengün is getting double teamed and he kicks out to Kevin Durant, these are going to be the easiest open shots that he's going to be able to take. And by the way, on the opposite side of the floor, you still have Amen Thompson and Fred VanVleet, who are both either slashers or shooters. So if you can activate Reed Shepherd and you put him out there as well too, who are you going to double off of? So Houston has some dynamic things that they can do on the floor. Kevin Durant is a major chess piece to that. And I think the pecking order will fall into place now because this team has to mature when you have a veteran like that walking.
Last thing before I let you go, because it feels wrong that we have not talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder, who won their first championship 2 days ago, and they will have their victory parade today. Jalen Williams will be drinking Shirley Temples because he drank for the first time, and he didn't really like it. But you saw a kind of a muted celebration from the Thunder, which is fine. I don't want to get into that, but more in the sense of this Thunder team truly is built to last, and having all of these players and their youth especially shining between SGA, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, all under the age of 26, and ultimately looking at the pieces around them and the fit, the future draft opportunities. They have 3 picks coming up in this coming draft, and there's been some talk of what if the Thunder were to package those picks and move up in the draft, which just feels like an unfair, gratuitous use of their wealth at this point. But even next year, they have another opportunity to potentially have 4 number 1 picks. It just feels, Mike, that they are uniquely situated to not just win this year, but be poised to win multiple years. But how many times have we said that too? This was the 7th straight year where you have a new champion in the NBA, and parity has never appeared to be a more consistent piece within this version of the NBA that we currently live in. So what to you makes the Thunder different, and why they really could be a team that goes back to back?
Well, because the last 2 times that we said it, and I certainly was in the camp where I thought Boston was set up for a run of maybe 2 championships or back-to-back or maybe 3 out of 4 years. But, in Denver, had the one thing that tied those 2 teams together and kind of derailed their chances was they had to immediately make decisions financially to get off guys. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was a guy that they had to get off of, Bruce Brown was a guy that they had to get off of because of salary constraints and going into that second apron right after winning. So their depth was gutted immediately in Denver right after they won a championship. Boston, you saw, they were the most expensive championship team in NBA history. And then they sold for, $6 billion or whatever. And then everyone talked about, we can't sustain this model. And I've said this before on this show and many other shows and opportunities. The NBA has to figure out how to stop penalizing teams that have homegrown their way into champions. And now it's time to reward those guys to keep them together. The whole point of the collective bargaining agreement and the exceptions, the Bird rule and all of those things, was for teams to keep their stars from having to become free agents and go elsewhere. You wanted to keep these guys together. Where the second part of that is, once you keep them together and they become a championship contender, then you can't force them to break up because of financial aprons. These aprons are man-made, like they're rules that you put in place. You don't have to penalize a team that's a championship caliber team or a championship team and put them in the apron because they won a championship and they put their team together. They have to relook at that model. But the reason why Oklahoma City isn't in that realm is because, number one, they're still, two of their biggest stars are still on rookie scale contracts. When you talk about J-Dub, Jalen Williams, obviously, and Chet Holmgren, those guys are on rookie scale contracts. You have one max guy, and then you have two quality, sort of mid-career, middle-class salary guys on there, in Caruso and Hardenstein. It's a financial model that absolutely came together perfectly, and you still have your assets of draft picks moving forward. So they have an ability for at least the next year or maybe 2 years to make these kind of moves or to stay situated and still contend without having to break up everything like they did the first time around when James Harden had to end up moving on to Houston because they couldn't pay Harden, Durant, obviously, and Russell Westbrook. So they're positioned perfectly. The reason why, that team and that franchise can write a book on how to run yourself effectively, from everything from their moves to their trades to the personalities of their stars to how they get along to how they do things culturally. Oklahoma City is a unique franchise in that, and they're an outlier in this league when you look around.
Mike, safe travels to your hotel. And for all things draft related, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the GCM Draft Show.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
That was Mike Wallace. You can always find his latest up at grindcitymedia.com. It's 9:28, CJ. Do you have a meeting?
Of course I have a
I feel
meeting.
like you have a meeting. I wanted to talk to you about the mortician.
Let's go.
Just briefly.
Let's
you
go.
finish it?
Is there more than
It's
episode 3?
No, 3's the end.
I need more. Because the way 3
I know.
ended, they're gonna
It's
do
very
a part
jinxy.
2.
It's very jinx. You watched The Jinx, didn't you?
Yes.
With Robert Durst?
Yes.
Very jinxy.
Very jinxy though. What's that baby's name? Natalia
Grace.
Very much like that also.
Yeah.
Where it is, okay, there's more here.
There's more to the story.
Just for people out there who might not know, let me take that back. I don't want to tell them.
I know.
Just for you and I, if there's ever a documentary and they're like, yeah, cameras are off, I'm going to shut the hell up until I get all the way to my house.
But see,
those people can't
this guy,
do it.
They can't do
They
it
can't
because
do
they
it.
are convinced that they can get away with it forever. They've gotten away with it this far. They'll continue to get away with it. They don't care. A hot mic does not even get into their brain.
And do you think that was the way
Purposeful?
episode 3 ends? It ends with some, okay, guy. All right, we know what you are now.
Yes.
Do you think it was purposeful? They set it up like, oh, we're out of film. I got to go change film. Also, are we still changing film out of cameras? Thought everything was digital.
Memory card.
Either way it goes.
Could be a memory card.
Could be a memory card. Either way it goes. That felt like a setup to me. Did it not feel like one of you? Like, oh, we got him. We got him.
Yes.
Let's see what we can get him to say now.
Yes. And then he stopped. But he
didn't stop.
Right. I mean, he stopped shy of saying like, hey, I did these crimes. But he said everything but that.
Think I didn't find him?
We don't. Sociopaths are so damn scary.
Yeah.
Because they truly think that one, their brain does not fall in a normal line. And two, they think that they can get away with everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's so scary. This guy is horrible. Go
And
watch
they
The
do get
Mortician.
away with everything.
Yes, and
They get away
he's
with a
sitting
ton of
there.
stuff.
I mean, he's technically on parole.
Okay.
But he's out.
Yeah.
I went to Pasadena. It's beautiful. I was
Did you
gonna go
smell the
find
dead
him.
bodies he burned?
No, couldn't
Okay.
find the crematorium.
Were you looking for it for real?
I was curious.
Okay.
I would have. His mom. Never forget. 1, if you're on a hot mic at the end of a documentary, do not admit to crimes that you commit. 2, you are legally allowed to be filmed from your home. Like if you're on your porch, as long as that film crew is on a public sidewalk. I learned that in the news and that blew my mind. It blew my mind. Because it feels very
Invasive.
icky and invasive, but you can. And they'll use it in a documentary and you will not look flattering.
She reminds me of the bunny from Zootopia. Not the bunny, the sheep. The sheep from Zootopia. Yeah.
The officer? No, she wasn't an
No,
officer.
the
She
bunny was the officer.
That's like CEO. Bunny was the officer.
The sheep
Yes,
was
yes,
the
yes.
assistant to the mayor.
Yes.
Yeah.
A real villain.
Why I have trust issues.
She was a sheep in sheep's clothing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We will get out of
You're
here.
pleased with yourself about that
Yeah.
in the show.
Pac-12 football on CBS. Maria Taylor on
We could
NBA on NBC.
We can do all of that tomorrow.
All
and
right. Oops, we missed it. We have a whole segment for that. Great.
So we don't have to do any work tonight.
Talk about it then. I mean, it's draft day. We're going to have Chip Williams, who's your favorite draft analyst. He's going to join us, give his thoughts on some of these picks that the Grizzlies could potentially be looking at, and not picks, players that the Grizzlies could potentially be looking at. I always trust him with draft analysts every year. We'll catch up with him tomorrow. It'll be draft day. We'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye.
While you were out, I was fumbling, bumbling, stumbling through the end of the show, and Jacob just threw the title like that, just like that. He just threw the title card up on me. It was like, CJ, in this